Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. World Boxing News is claiming that Anthony Joshua was knocked out in sparring ahead of his fight with Andy Ruiz Jr., who knocked out Anthony Joshua for real. Joshua down 4 times in that fight before it was waved off in the 7th round on June 1st at Madison Square Garden. So worldboxingnews.net, see here on screen, revealed fighter who knocked out Anthony Joshua in sparring. It says that World Boxing News can reveal the name of the fighter who knocked out Anthony Joshua in sparring prior to Andy Ruiz Jr. doing it for real. Joshua was hurt badly in a training session which visibly marked his face, and WBN has been informed the boxer in question was Ajit Kabayal. He is, of course, the German who is pictured here on screen, unbeaten, holds the EBU title. His mandatory challenger at the moment is Joe Joyce. He doesn't have his next fight scheduled. He does have a voluntary challenge. But this claim that Anthony Joshua was knocked out in sparring ahead of the fight, what can we make of it? I mean, worldboxingnews.net is saying that it's happened, but there is no sources quoted here. And also I've noticed another narrative that's sort of emerging in the mainstream media, not just online, in forums or in YouTube videos, is that this is connected to, sparring is connected to Anthony Joshua's father confronting Eddie Hearn in the ring after it during the post-fight interviews. So his father, this is what the article says, it's understood Kabayal put Joshua on the canvas hard when they traded blows, something which may have a profound effect on the ex-unified ruler's mentality. Father Robert wanted Joshua removed from the headlining fight on June 1. His calls were not subsequently acted upon. So what is that actually based on in terms of evidence and facts? This is just obviously, to some extent, speculation. There's dot joining here, and it's not necessarily backed up by facts. But, even if Joshua was dropped in sparring ahead of the fight, that's not necessarily too uncommon in sparring. As fighters often say, sparring can be very intense, a very tough process where you're trying to learn. And I do remember Anthony Joshua saying previously that sometimes he does like to get hit in sparring so he knows what he can do when he has to, react in the ring if it happens for real. Obviously, in this situation with his fight with Andy Ruiz Jr., he did get hit and hurt, and ultimately he couldn't respond. But it goes on to say here, in the post-fight ring melee, after Ruiz inflicted a horrendous loss on Joshua, Robert could be seen waving his finger and hurling abuse at promoter Eddie Hearn. I mean, we don't actually know what was said. Certainly, Joshua's father, Robert Joshua, was up on Eddie Hearn saying something, but, we just don't know what it was. And do we know that this is actually connected to anything ahead of the fight? Is it connected to the specific incident that World Boxing News is trying to link it to? I mean, it's possible, but we just can't say for sure. Did something in the lead up to the fight affect Anthony Joshua? Well, it's hard to say, but it's kind of beside the point now because the fight is over. Joshua lost it. He didn't perform, and Andy Ruiz did. Some of these things bubbling in the media at the moment, we've got to take it for what it is. I mean, everyone is looking for a reason or an excuse why Anthony Joshua didn't perform. And this news about Ajit Kabayal or potentially other factors, promotional, other concerns, distractions ahead of the fight, that is being sort of hurled around now as reasons Joshua may have not performed. But the reality is he didn't perform. It actually doesn't really matter now, does it? He doesn't have the belts. They obviously felt whatever happened ahead of the fight, leading into the fight, was okay. And that was whatever happened was manageable, either in terms of his media commitments and endorsement commitments and other things, if there was hard sparring or whatever. They obviously went into the fight going, okay, well, we can handle this. Joshua can still get through this fight. He can still beat Andy Ruiz Jr. And maybe if there was something that came up during camp that, was ultimately unmanageable, well, that's a learning experience for them to, rectify the second time around. But ultimately, what happened to the ring counts, and Joshua didn't perform. So, I think there is a bit of a need for, because obviously with Mike Tyson and his fight with Buster Douglas, there was all sorts of things that came out in the weeks, months, and even years afterwards that, led to him, or what some people led to him losing that fight. And I think people are looking for parallels here with Anthony Joshua. Whether something did happen, I mean, maybe we will never know. But in terms of what happened in the ring, we do know what happened. And sometimes the better fighter on the night does win. And Anthony Joshua had his brain scrambled in round 3, and he never really recovered. What do you make of it all? What do you make of this report by worldboxingnews.net that says Arjet Kabayel knocked out Anthony Joshua ahead of the fight with Ruiz Jr. on June 1st? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.